Good evening from Patong Beach in Phuket, the famous Patong Beach in Phuket, Thailand. Some of you might remember it from the tsunami. It featured very prominently in the tsunami of 2004, around Christmas time, I believe it was. A long time ago now. It was interesting to me because I've been here before. I was here 2 years in a row in 88 and 89, and I have stuff to say about that. I did 2 live videos earlier today. One's 5 minutes, one's 4 minutes. I just got done with a live video kind of explaining what I'm going to do. But so you watch those. I'm trying to rehash it here. The TLDR, or too long didn't watch, TLDW, is that I just serendipitously decided to come up like 30 minutes to Patong from, Rawai is a sleepy retirement town. By contrast, this is the big kahuna tourism, and you know it when you see the prices 2 to 3 times higher for fucking everything. But the hotel room, you find good hotel rooms. This nice room, which is in the live video, to do a tour, and you'd be amazed. 4 nights for $66, so you can live with that. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about, it's very interesting because these things like come together, and you get these. You start. I don't know whether it's just you become aware or you start thinking about something, right? And it's kind of like you've got this hammer, and then you start seeing these nails all over the place, right? So they were always there, but now you have this awareness, right? Just an aside about that. I figured this out long time. What is our real awareness? You think, oh, I see, I hear, I smell, and everything. I'm aware of my surroundings. You fucking aren't aware of a small bit of it. I'll tell you how you can prove it to yourself. I used to walk my dog, Rotor, Rat Terrier, when I was trying to lose weight by walking. Every fucking morning, Monday through Friday, religiously for 5 years. Rain or shine, too. Get up, head out the door at 6 in the morning, and I had 2 courses about 3 miles each. And I'd walk one course for 1 week and then the other course for the other week. I did this for, like I said, 5 years. About 5 years. Every fucking day. Forget, I calculated the mileage. Anyway, it was like 2 years into this, and I realized one day as I'm walking, I'm like, I've walked past here hundreds of times, and I've never noticed that one thing. So I made a kind of a game of it. Like every day I was like, take note of everything you're noticing that you've walked past hundreds of times and you've never really noticed it before, right? So you could do it. I guarantee you'd be amazed how much you actually do not notice that's in your field of perception. Sight, sound, whatever. Everything. Your senses. So, I was thinking about obesity, and of course the cause of obesity is overeating, overfeeding. No other cause. You eat too much too often. Too much caloric intake. Too much energy intake for what you're expending. Don't fuck with me about the blah, 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 blah. Yes, there are things that you can do, different dietary techniques that you can employ and try that will help you to eat less often instead of more too often, right? And but the thing is, All right, so there's certainly all these hormonal things, and metabolisms are different, that's for sure. And it is true that some people seem to have the ability to eat ad libitum at will, and they just always maintain a reasonable body composition. I think that's the exception, though. And then it gets into, well, you know, what are the other factors in play? It's confounded as hell, right? But what we do know is if you chronically, day by day on average, consume more than you're expending, you're gonna pile on fat. And it doesn't fucking matter whether it's vegetables or meat or fat or some combination of the thing. Yeah, you can get fat eating vegetables. Look at gorillas, you know. Look at bears. Well, they're omnivorous, but anyway. So, the question, the kind of question behind that is, well, what are the conditions that enable the eating, you know, too much, too often? And it's affluence, it's development from what we were, you know, tribes and shit, where it's very hard to survive. And it takes all hands on deck, you know, in natural divisions of labor, to do it. So there's ideal sizes for tribes. I forget the numbers. It's like, you know, well, it's going to depend on the environment as well, right? And what you have available for food. But probably 60 to 120 is in there where you're good to go typically, you know. But then you get into civilization, and sometimes you have to put that in quotes if you understand what I mean. So you have this developing economy. All right. So when I first came to Thailand, it was 1980. So I'm just using it as an example. When I first came to Thailand, that was 1986. There's no such thing as a fat person. I can't recall ever seeing a single fat person, man or woman, of any age. I came here about 7 times between 86 and 90. Spent probably somewhere around 6 months in country in that. No, not that much. Probably about 4 months total time. Because like 3 of the trips were 1 month each, right? And the rest were like a week or something. So yeah, probably about 4 months total time in country during that time. Never recall seeing a fat person, right? Now they're all fucking over. They're all over the place. What happened? Don't tell me junk food and you know, fucking omega-6 fatty acid and seed oils and shit like that. I'm sure it doesn't help. I'll give you that. Doesn't help, right? But you know, there were 7-Eleven, there were plenty of junk food back then, right? In many places of the world, but it would have done no good to have them here in Thailand because Thais would not be able to afford it. I've looked this up from the, you know, World Bank figures, I believe. And when I was here, Thailand was 90% of Thais were below the poverty line. Now, 30 some years later, it's exactly flipped, almost flipped. Can't remember was 80 or 90, but it's only 10 to 20% of the population who's below that, you know, inflation adjusted poverty line. And thus, you have a lot of fat people now. And that is the only fucking reason I'm certain of it, right? Poor people, well, here's what's weird is you have a lot of obesity in you know, the poorer people. It's relatively poor, right? But not absolutely poor. So when you have the access to easy food, really easy food. And I'm telling you, it's all over the place. There's carts all over the place. And Thais eat, especially the women, they eat all the fucking time. They can't go 2 fucking waking hours without eating. I shit you not. Now their food, it's a good thing their food, part of the reason for that is not very calorically dense, right? So it's you know, a typical Asian fare where it's rice or noodles and you know, some vegetables, broth a lot of times, and some meat. But here in Thailand, they're very heavy on eggs. They're big egg consumers. And they eat quite a bit of liver too. They have kind of a liver pate that they put in soups. It's a chicken liver pate. It's quite good, actually. I like it. The little cubes, cubes of liver in a soup. So that's all to the good, right? But it's not very calorically dense, so you can eat this stuff. And partly, you know, it's a little bit carb heavy. And so, you know, so there's that element of the shoot and dive for insulin and stuff like that. And like I said, these are contributors, right? And so, but it helps to get you into that chronic overfeeding, which is ultimately what causes the weight to pack on. You know, I know very well sitting here, I'm not the first to think of this or to say this, but you know, I've heard it before. But it really becomes it's kind of like before you're like, yeah, that all makes sense and da da da. But you don't really think about it deeply and think about why is it so, and to see it play out and say, yeah, that's really, really, really fucking true. And so anyway,